A funding battle is brewing between President Trump and New York City. The president threatened to defund Democratic-controlled cities.
And the mayors of the 4 targeted cities unite in fighting what they call an unconstitutional political ploy. CBS 2's Jessica Moore has the story.
I believe the president is fundamentally a bully, which I've said to you many times, and I know him very well for a very long period of time.
Governor Cuomo lashing out at President Trump over his threats to strip New York City of federal funding. The governor calling the president a joke who is no longer welcome here. The president fired back on Twitter, blaming Cuomo for the number of coronavirus deaths in New York. The war of words comes on the heels of Wednesday's presidential directive ordering federal officials to find ways of cutting the purse strings of Democratic-controlled cities: New York, Washington, D.C., Seattle, and Portland. The memo read, quote, "My administration will not allow federal tax dollars to fund cities that allow themselves to deteriorate into lawless zones." The president specifically detailed the rise in crime in New York City, blasting Mayor de Blasio's recent agreement to cut $1 billion in funding to the NYPD.
Yes, this federal government will do everything within our lawful power, and yes, the president is serious about this.
Today, the mayors of those 4 cities sent out a joint statement saying our cities and the millions of Americans who we represent are not President Trump's political pawns.
This is clearly the president just trying to score political points, but the problem is the Constitution doesn't agree with him, and the Supreme Court doesn't agree with him. The Supreme Court has spoken to this issue, that you cannot hold back federal funding over a political difference or even a policy difference once it has been allocated by the Congress. So I think this is another one of his blusters that'll go nowhere.
Earlier this year, the president also threatened to strip funding from so-called sanctuary cities. Under the Constitution, state funds are controlled by Congress, not the president. President Trump hasn't yet specified how or when he plans to tamper with New York's federal funding. Today, Mayor de Blasio and New York Attorney General Letitia James said if the president continues to threaten the city, they'll, quote, see him in court. Jessica Moore, CBS 2 News.